Hi everyone, it is tail end of June and it's time for the June garden tour. So I find June to be a rather restful time in a way because I, made the beeline to get everything in May. And by everything I mean majority of everything. And then June is more of a watch things grow and just be at peace with the garden, but that's not for real. There's the bugs that come and the diseases that you discover and the plants that you have to keep reseeding because the animals just won't leave it alone. So today we're going to start with an area of the garden that is like right in front of me all the time, and I think I just look past it because it is just so wild, and I have let it become wild. I have not weeded it. I did at the beginning and then I've forgotten about it and it just took over. So this is the semicircle where I have asparagus, and in the front side or east side I have plugged in these are pumpkins, moon and stars watermelon, volunteer potatoes, and tomato that I don't know what happened to the tag, but I have planted tomatoes in several places that I wanted to save seeds from, away from the main bunch where cross-pollination is more likely. This is the sugar baby and another of pumpkin that was store-bought, so I have no idea what I'm going to end up with when it grows. But we have, ferns, asparagus ferns all around. And this is the side that you can still discern the asparagus, but it's just grass and other things that I don't know the names of, and wild strawberries, and just a lot of wildness that I've not had the energy to get to. Now over here we have the Thai basil, which was looking rather pathetic when I planted it, but now it's been in the ground for a month and it is looking lush and flowering all the time and just gorgeous, and it smells heavenly. I have okra here that I seeded and they're growing, and I have some also here growing, but they keep getting dug up and disturbed, so I don't know if this one will make it. And this is another one that got disturbed. But they should make it. And this was the tiniest of the artichokes. I don't know if that will do anything for me. Over here is another area that I've ignored with weeding. And there's only one of the 9 that I'm trying to save of the blueberries. And there's not too many blueberries there, but I'll take what I can get. So this is to save it from the birds that will inevitably come. Now, but this will be my potato year because I had plenty of potatoes. So any few that get ravaged by pests, I'm okay with, because I have an abundance of potatoes everywhere. I'll probably be able to harvest little early potatoes from those containers anytime I want. Onions. These onions I planted the latest and they seem healthy still. I haven't seen the curling from the earlier ones. And I've worked, and I come in here every other day or so and I make sure I take off the suckers on the tomatoes. I've started staking, and I find that I have an abundance of clothing that my kids are growing out of, so I just use that to tie things versus some kind of plastic that I feel bad throwing out later. And I'm trying to stay to a single stem along this line, so single stem the tomatoes, and I find that some of them, here's a good one, they want to split at first and then they come back together. So I still have a single stem there. There's one here This one is on the end of the line, so I'm letting this one double stem right here. There's enough room for that to double stem. This was the last cucumber, I think it's a slicer, that I had grown indoors, so this is the furthest along and will give me the earliest cucumbers. Here's a marigold, the first one to bloom. And over here I've uncovered this bed because I found that the moths had gotten in anyway, because anytime a leaf is touching the netting, the moth can still get her eggs in. I'm just letting this go to flower, and I have started more broccoli to take its place. I've let this kale grow, but as you can see it's really tiny, which there's nothing wrong with that, but there's really no point in keeping that alive so much. And the leeks are doing fine in here. And these broccoli are still small, and they might give me better heads if I figure out how to take better care of them. And also the leeks in here are doing well. Oh, and somehow I missed weeding this sorrel, so it's a nice plant there of sorrel. Over here, this artichoke bounced back like nothing ever happened. Lost a few leaves, but for the most part it looks pretty healthy. You know, there's a few scraggly onions down here that didn't get diseased yet. And then I have kale, broccoli. These are more leeks. More broccoli amongst the rhubarb. I did end up harvesting a couple of stalks, even though I said I wouldn't. And I made the obligatory strawberry, rhubarb, blueberry, cobbler-y kind of thing. It was delicious. Over here, more rhubarb, potatoes, I mean. I've already harvested all the scapes from this line of garlic. I had two. One got completely obliterated by slugs, and this one's making it. It will flower someday. And my first, not really my first, but my surviving flower of nasturtium. So this should at least fill this out. The peas are on their way out. This week, maybe into next, I'll be taking them out and replacing them with beans. So these were the ones I started indoors, and they just never really caught up. There was a time when there was a lot of water that rushed through here and took away a lot of the soil. So I don't feel like they ever really got a hold of the soil. But there's a few yummy peas in there that I'll be harvesting. And then these I direct seeded, and also, and the variety too. I'm not sure which ones this is, but these are the peas over here, so I can harvest these. And then the beans are coming up, and I have more beans started that I'll be plugging into that place. And then these are cucumbers that I started indoors, or in a container, and then these two I plugged in, and somehow they managed not to get eaten. Now I plugged in a lot of soybeans all around the acorn squash, but they're all gone. This one was started in safety, so that one made it. I got beans that I plugged in, beans that I transplanted in, this one lone peas that I didn't forget completely. I think this is a loofah, or two, that managed to survive being eaten. No, there's one, I think that's one too. But I attempted to seed more edamame, and that one just died back. This one might make it, but I doubt it. And then there was one around here somewhere, but I can't find it. Might be this one, I'm not sure. We shall find out. And this is more acorn squash and winter butternut squash. Beets are growing good. This container keeps getting disturbed for some reason. These are the carrots, miscellaneous, and this is the atomic red, which hasn't been getting disturbed, so that's exciting. And then this bed of green is growing very nice and lush. We got the Swiss chards and the spinach. I'm harvesting from these every so often and eating them. I'm letting this one flower. Then back here we got the carrots that survived. And I got a couple of cucamelons growing. You see that giant hole in there? I mean, seriously. Alright, here, this is more greens, and the celery is doing well. I've seeded more Swiss chard and amaranth, and you can see, take you closer. You can see blips and blops of where they didn't get dug up and destroyed. But for the amount of seeds I threw in here, there should be way more than this. But the celery is looking good. And this marigold's nice and slow going. It is more shaded here, so that would account for the slower growth in this area. Here we have more potatoes. I was musing that I might leave these as the potatoes that I overwinter. I mean, not all of them, but you know, this will be the overwintering patch. I did weed. I did some weeding around the raspberries back there. And I mulched the figs. Here's raspberries coming up. At least those aren't dead. And there's a frog in here who likes to be near this little water thing I put up. And my assorted greens that I don't really harvest. They're just here because I like growing things. Now I've seeded the sweet corn for the fourth and last time. We'll see if anything comes up in this little 3 by 1.5. But other ones are coming up pretty good all around. More on that end. So there's less asparagus that made it, so I plugged in. This is more black creme that I'm going to be saving seed from, and this one too. I plugged in some extra kale I had. So here's more corn. Better germination on this side of the bed. And then the garlic here. Here's one lone red onion. And here's one yellow onion that were saved from the massacre. And then these are all self-seeded lettuce. And I'm just, you know, I harvest here and there, but I'm just letting them go crazy. I'm letting this one flower and collecting seed. And it's just so beautiful to see. You know, it's just almost ornamental. I'll eat. Oh, we have plenty of lettuce everywhere. So some stuff I eat and some stuff I just let go as far as lettuce is concerned. But it's just nice to see the colors. And even the height on this. It's like the most beautiful thing I've grown in this yard. And this one was overwintered. But around it, those were seeded early spring. And I have a lot of ground cherry that I'm letting go, and I can always just get them out whenever I feel like it. But for now, they're just growing here. It's food producing versus just weeds growing here. So I'm just going to leave that alone. And here I seeded some cosmos, the purple ones, and yellow, and some, the bigger ones, self-seeded from plants before. Here we have calendula that I have allowing to drop seed and collect seed. So these are a beautiful coloring. And we have these and this variety. So there's 3 different kinds just here. And so those were the first batch that went out. They were the biggest, and then I have a second round, and then I have a third round that I'm trying to get going over there. And you know, the squirrels or the chipmunks bury their seeds. So I've got some kind of sunflower growing there that they can't stay there. And here's a few of the onions that were left. Now I have like gaps in the middle of things, and I don't know what to do with those gaps. And then the scabiosa is coming along slowly but surely. And this is where calendula was just seeded a day ago. This was winter sown rosemary, I hope, because I planted them out. And here I am attempting chamomile. I sprinkled seeds down, and we'll see if anything comes up. And then I got a fresh batch of grass the other day, so I'm just putting it here to dry it out before I use it for mulch. So here's the popcorn coming up. And then sunflowers assorted. And then after that big rainstorm we had, I lost 60-70% of the seeds that I put down. The slugs just decimated almost all this big line of sunflowers. There were so many, and then there was so few. And then these were the ones that had come up a lot earlier. So these are fine and very well coming along. And almost as big, but not ready to flower yet, like this one. This is ones I sown indoors. So I'd gone ahead and got more seeds and reseeded the sunflowers. I can't say the same for my strawberries. They have just slowly but surely been getting beheaded. Particularly, I believe this is the Alexandria, because they're leaving this one alone, which was the hybrid, which produces much smaller strawberries, but they haven't bothered those. But all the ones that make good, nice sized, sweet, delicious strawberries have just been beheaded. And if they survive, if they leave enough leaves, they will flush out again in the fall and get us more fruit. But not strawberry season for us. And I plugged in a couple of onions in here, and they're doing fine. But yeah, anywhere that had the really good strawberries were gone, but these are the ones with the tiny, tiny strawberries. And also I had beautiful, what was it called? Peach Melba. I had beautiful peach Melba nasturtiums plugged in here, and I'll show you the flowers. And then the next day they were gone. They were just beheaded. So sad. Here's another marigold. My lantana. More importantly, the hollyhocks have come, and they are suffering from rust. So I've clipped a great deal of the lower leaves, but that's not going to stop anything. It's just, hopefully slow it down. But my beautiful hollyhocks are here for another season. So the majority of the lettuce I'm growing in a container because I like that control and less pests and bugs. I'm starting another load there. This is broccoli. They'll be going out when it's ready. And then I've got beans, the beans. Some I'm growing for myself and some I'm growing for my mom. So these ones in the cups, well, the seed just broke, are for her, and these little ones are for me. And I've got more edamame seeds coming up in there. And here we have the yarrow all in bloom. It smells so wonderful. I kind of expected something else though. I don't know why. They're not quite as golden either as I was expecting. And we got basil, and I've seeded more basil. This is a volunteer I'm letting just grow out. And all of these borage are volunteers from last year, and they are gigantic. Parsley is doing well. There's another set of beans that I'll be picking. Here's the curly, and I have a lot more flat leaf. That's beautiful. And the dill are flowering, and I see plenty of nice bugs on them. This is so nice. But yeah, these are definitely ready. And then amaranth are coming up. Red amaranth. And over here is the rutabaga. Also, a lot of seeds didn't make it. And the borage just keeps falling over. Here we have the kohlrabi, and as you can tell, the ones all the way in the corner, as I expected, have been victimized. But the ones further away are looking very strong and healthy. And there's still a couple of scapes that I haven't harvested, just a few. They came in much later than the others. Here's another tomato that I can't find the tag at the moment that I'm going to try to save seeds from, so I have it here out of the way of other pollination issues. And I'm just going to let these sprawl. I'm not gonna fence them or stake them. And then we have our various watermelons. And it's still too early to say if these are going to make it all the way through. So this could be a different story tomorrow. But I think it's just two hills that didn't make it. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about the sweet potatoes this year. They aren't looking super healthy. And this is my first time doing this hay method, so I might not have done that properly. But I'll give them a feed and hopefully they'll bounce back. Sweet potatoes are pretty resilient. And then I did manage to get a few stalks of rice to grow, and I've put them in this gigantic bin, and I'm not sure how this is working out either. They're growing, but I don't know if the soil, the water is supposed to be this anaerobic looking. The potatoes here are doing well. There are some kale that's getting eaten up, but that's okay. We can lose some kale. So we have, oh, there's one of those bugs that look a little bit like frogs, or just like bird droppings, but they're actually a beetle that need to be squished. And here's one of those four-lined, where is it? Those are so fast. Four-lined bugs. Another beetle to be squashed. These are a lot faster, harder to catch. Ugh. But anyway, with the abundance of potatoes, I I don't mind it as much that I'm losing some. And a lot of the times they're underneath where I can't get to them so easily. And there's a few peas in here that I'm also going to be harvesting. It's a little bit shaded in this area, so they are not as big. They didn't grow as big as the one out in full sun. But yeah, the potatoes here look pretty good. This is eggplants and a few onions, tiny onions. Eggplants doing all right. A few peppers, and this lone potato is doing really well all by its lonesome. More potatoes over here. And my little flower patch is on its way out. The snapdragons, though, those are just coming to, so they'll be flowering in a few. But you can hear the seeds, so I'm very excited that this will be self-seeding. Sadly, no strawberries have made it from this last purchase. It just got really wet. It was stormy. There was a lot of rain, and they just rotted out. They just didn't stand a chance, and only half of them looked viable to begin with. And this is looking pretty good here. I topped off these two poblanos because of the bugs, and so they're slower to go and growing new growth further down. This is the lone paprika, and then the three mysteries. The artichoke here looks good, but this one has an infestation of aphids. It's a giant, or maybe it's, I wasn't really sure if it was aphids. It could be just eggs of these gigantic ants we have this year. So they've curled up a couple of the leaves here as their nesting site. But I'm going to get another hosing to that and try to knock off more eggs. And this is the okra. Really doing well. So that'll be a nice early harvest of okra. And then here I have the ginger. Oh, looks like I have to cover up, get some soil in here and cover up the tubers. There's one lone onion in here, but otherwise this should be beautiful come September. And over here is the overwintered peppers. The jalapenos are doing excellent, even with having suffered from the spider mite damage. They are being attacked by that four-lined beetle. And this is the bell coming in. And this one's gotten sun-scald already. But it's producing, just it's having to put up a good fight. And a couple leftover onions here. And last but not least are these whispering vine seedlings that are coming up. I had tried to winter sow them, but they did not take. So I reseeded recently, and there should be more seeds coming up, seedlings coming up, but it is what it is, and this is plenty for this space anyway. They grow and take over. So that will be here. And I was hoping there'd be more volunteers, but I don't think they overwinter very well. And that's the June garden tour. I've certainly enjoyed various creators showcase off theirs, and so envious of the ones further north than me, that, not further, but even a few hours, they've already got tomatoes. It's amazing. But I know mine will come. and you gotta just keep on the weeding and the suckering for tomatoes and everything else with the bugs. But I think we're off to a good start. Yeah, I'm gonna keep plugging in beans, and in July, like mid to end of July, we'll be seriously considering the fall garden and what plants we need to put in for that. More peas, definitely more peas. All right, I will talk to you all again soon. Bye.